All right. So you're running that comp, but you have an Ana instead of the BAP. How does that change things? Well, for starters, you don't have as much pressure because Ana needs to. Ana should be doing damage, but Ana has to worry about her ammo a little bit more than BAP does because the reload time is awful, and she's using the same ammo to heal her team as she is to damage the enemy. So, like, it's not as much pressure, but it is anti nade, which is huge. Uh, Nano is good, and you have better pocket healing, but less overall team healing. And then the final change is Ana can't peel for herself as easily as BAP. She has sleep, but sleep's a skill shot. Lamp isn't. Uh, so, if you're the Ana, know that you are prone to being dove in this comp, and know that the only reason you would ever be better than BAP is if you are landing fat antis. So you have to land the anti nades, and you have to land them with good timing. And good timing means the fight has been committed to. They can't just back up, wait 4 seconds, and then push back in again. Anteing too early will either get you nothing, or even worse, it'll get your team killed because they'll int to try to follow up on your fat ante. So careful with the timing, land the antes, uh, save your sleep, play safe, and you're looking to probably nano your Reinhardt. Since you can't lamp your Reinhardt, nano is what's going to allow him to stay in the fight and go aggro. Oh, hey Alexa, how's it going? If you aren't the Ana and you are on an otherwise meta team, Kree, Lucio, and Diva, all three of you, need to be watching her and trying to peel for her. You all have other jobs, so it doesn't have to be all three of you at the same time, and you can match it to how they are diving your Ana. If they send, a single tracer to get your Ana, maybe you just send your Kree, and maybe that's all you need. And Kree just hangs out with Ana and provides off angle pressure from where Ana is. Or maybe Lucio uses his speed to go get to her, boot people away, heal her up. Diva uses her boosters to DM, etc. If they send a bunch of people, it might take two or all three of you to save your Ana. Ash. Ash would swap out for the Kree here, ideally, or the Mei if you wanted to go double hit scan, and needs to be off angle pressure. Like, that's it. Off angle pressure and picks. BAP we know. Bastion. Uh, in this comp, you need to be way more mobile than stationary. You are still off angle pressure, and anytime you can safely get into turret mode to wreck shields or shoot down narrow sightlines and chokes, that's going to be great, but you got to be running around more like Soldier with self heal than Bastion. Because if you sit in one space, it's going to be way too easy for them to come get you. That said, Rein can shield you, but he shouldn't do too much of that. Diva can DM you a bit, but she shouldn't do too much of that. Bastion doesn't fit in this very well, but you can make him work. Brig, you swap out instead of the Lucio. You are a good choice if you have the Ana, maybe, because you can bodyguard her, but you are looking to bodyguard someone if you're Brig. You don't want to live on the front line with Rein. Uh, you want to land whip shots from range and protect somebody. Otherwise, like, there isn't really much point in choosing Brig. Lucio's speed is going to be better. Diva's meta. Doomfist. Doomfist is a really fun one. Doomfist can replace either your Kree or your Mei. And Doomfist is looking to cycle his cooldowns for continuous backline pressure. I say continuous, but there is still timing. Uh, like, if you jump in, like, let's say you're going for this typical combo of slam, shoot, uppercut, shoot, fist away. Your slam lands as your Rein is start swinging on the other Rein, as they start swinging on each other. You want it to happen as close to that same time as possible. So as that Rein needs healing, suddenly their backline is turning around to deal with the Doomfist. And then if you get picks, great, but if you don't, you have to live because it is about cycling those cooldowns for constant pressure. If they are constantly looking around from the Doomfist, who's coming in from different directions every 6 seconds, like clockwork, uh, they're not doing other things. They're not helping their front line or fighting your team. So in this way, you can get huge value whether or not you get your picks. You just gotta maximize your uptime and cycles. Cycle as many times as you can. Echo, you're actually going to play kind of similar to Doomfist, although you're looking to use uh, your verticality and like you can shoot over shields, and you're looking. If you find people out of position, you're looking to get picks on them because you can do that. But Echo also does a shit ton of spam damage. So you are an opportunist, whereas Doomfist is just constantly cycling, taking opportunities if he finds them, but otherwise just keeping the pressure up. You, or keeping the pressure up that way, you are keeping the pressure up by constantly spamming an angle and waiting for an opportunity for you to just go erase somebody. Hold down your left clicks basically, hit your right clicks, break shields, like you do a chunk of shield break, chunk down tanks, chunk down squishies, whatever. You see somebody half health, and suddenly you're in there with your focusing beam, and then you're back out with the last of your flight. That's what you're looking for. Genji, you need to farm Blade as fast as possible, and beyond that, you are poking. Well, you're poking to farm Blade, but you are poking from off angles or the back line just like Doomfist. You need to live, and you're just shooting and shooting and shooting and farming Blade. If you see somebody that is dashable, you dash in 180 and dash right back out. You don't stay in, you don't commit to fights, you don't die. If you see an opportunity to get an easy pick, you take it, but you're mostly building Blade and trying to win with Blade. Probably best if you have an Ana. You can make it work otherwise, though. Hanzo, off-angle pressure. Off-angle pressure and spam. Junkrat, off-angle pressure and spam. You do insane amounts of shield break, you chunk down tanks, and you can zone entire areas. So you are kind of anti-map control. You want to pick an area they're trying to push through and say you don't get this space at all. It's because your nades bounce and they're projectiles, like you can shoot and bounce them from safe places and bounce them through chokes, etc. You can use traps to watch flanks. Junk sucks and I hate him. I love Junk, actually. I think he's fun. He's a silly character. But basically, it's impossible to miss a shield, and it's very hard to miss a tank with Junkrat. Like, they're big targets for your nades, and they do 120 damage. If you see an opportunity for the one-shot combo, which is mine, nade, detonate the mine, hopefully more or less at the same time, then take it, but maximize the spam output. Lucio's meta, Kree's meta, Mei's meta. Mercy. Mercy is a DPS pocket who needs to absolutely maximize her blue beam uptime. So, you would probably be pocketing your Kree and blue beaming your Kree to make his damage more impactful, allow him to take more aggressive flanks, etc. And you want to pocket this Kree, or maybe if you have an Ashe would be also good, that sort of thing. Pocket them as hard as you possibly can. You only go to heal tanks as a last resort because your other support can't keep up with it, or they're dead, or whatever. And sometimes not even then. Sometimes you just let your DPS kill things while your tanks die. Yeah, maximize your blue beam uptime. Moira, you're hanging with Reinhardt and you just don't let him die. You're a heal bot, pure and simple. You do damage to get your resource back, you throw damage orbs early in the fight or late for cleanup, and you're throwing heal orbs all other times, and you're making your Rein as immortal as possible so he can swing more. Orisa is fun. Orisa does not play the way you think she would play. Orisa plays like a brawl hero, and actually plays like a Zarya. Orisa becomes your off tank in this meta, and she hugs Reinhardt. And what you're looking to do is so like you got your Rein and your Orisa, and you're walking in on the enemy team who's wherever. Uh, let's say they have their Rein or whatever coming in to push at yours. Orisa, you shoot your shield here behind the Reinhardt, and you have just cut off his healing. The shield is still kind of protecting your team, but mostly you are cutting off the healing from the Reinhardt, and you do this as your Rein pushes into him. And then you're shooting him also. When you're point blank shooting people in the head, your fusion driver actually does a shit ton of damage. Uh, and everyone else is shooting him and he has no heal, so he just sort of evaporates. Or he has to, like, very quickly back up with his shield up. And then as you push in, just like a Zarya would, you're looking to split slightly from your Rein and kind of wrap around. And you can use your Fortify to just straight up walk onto the point into them while everyone else is walking into them. You play Orisa as a brawl hero, in their face where you can't miss because Rein's in their face too, using shield to cut off heals and gold to survive while you're like in there taking that damage. It's super fun, actually. Pharah, you use your mobility to pressure off angles. Easy. Reaper, you play like Doomfist. Your TP takes about 2 seconds to go off. Your fade, so basically you TP somewhere behind them, ideally, or where they can't see you. You walk into their backline, pew, 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 you do as much as you can. They force you out, you fade away. You have 2 seconds left on your fade. You TP back in. So as soon as the TP ends, you have your fade back. You do as much as you can, rinse, repeat. And you keep this up non-stop. Just like a Doomfist would. If you get picks, great, but you primarily, first and foremost, need to get people to look at you without dying. With the right timing, as your team is pushing in. Rein's meta. Roadhog, you still pressure off angles. Roadhog is a major threat. You can still hold wherever your diva would hold, more or less, and land the right clicks. And if they try to push into you, they're pushing into a Roadhog who can hook them, kill them, walk away vaping. So pressure off angles with your right clicks, spam non-stop. Your right clicks shred shields. If you're not going to have a diva or even a Zarya, you need to help break shield for your team, for your Rein. So during the poke phase, when you don't have better things to do, lay your right clicks into those shields. Thanks so much for the follow, Rogue Islander. When you see opportunities to flank and get picks, by all means, Roadhog's great at that. But you can also be anti-dive. You can use your hook and your shotguns to peel for your team. Hang out with your backline. Anyone dares come for them, they gotta mess with a Roadhog, who's otherwise shredding shields and tanks from range with his right clicks. Sigma. Some teams have been trying the Sigma instead of the Diva. Sigma needs to hold high grounds and off angles. He's more damage than the Diva, but he's less mobility. So you have to be a lot more careful with your positioning and your rotations. But you have to pressure high grounds and off angles. Like, you have to be on them. That's kind of Sig's entire job. Soldier, you are a weird hybrid between how, like, Hanzo Ashe Kree play and how, like, Doomfist and Reaper play, because you have legs. And legs let you be super mobile to take angles that slower heroes can't otherwise take. Thanks for the bits! Yay, retro! But because, your hit scan, you can still be at much greater range than Reaper or Doomfist. So you're looking to take way more aggro angles than a Hanzo or an Ashe possibly could, but still maintain distance, still use legs to run away, heal station to live, etc., and pressure as much as you can and make them have to deal with you or die for their arrogance. Sombra, harass the backline nonstop, play around your TP. Sim, you actually are going to play like Mei. You want to hang out right behind your Reinhardt. You can use your TP to flip the map to out-rotate them and get behind them. Most points in this game are more easily defended than they are attacked. That's just how they're built. So if you can use TP to get behind them and defend the point from the defenders, it can be a really good way to win. And beyond that, you use your turrets to slow down the people that your Reinhardt is swinging on, the same way a Mayfreeze was. You shoot the turret, just a single turret somewhere where the beam is hitting them, ideally where it's hard to break if you can, or like behind them where they don't necessarily notice it, and it slows them down and makes it easier for your Rein to walk into them swinging. And otherwise, you spam right clicks from range because they do shit tons of damage, and you hold left click when you're close because you do more damage than Zarya when you're high charge. Full stop. You fry people, and remember, shields replenish your ammo. So as your Rein is walking into the other Rein, if the other Rein tries to hold shield, whew, that's great for you. Torb, off angle pressure, and shield break. So, put your turret somewhere with a narrow angle where they have to walk past it to get to wherever they want to go, rather than they can see it from range as they're walking in. So that way the turret lives longer, and then by the time they can break the turret, they're so far deep they have to like turn away from you to deal with the turret, or just let the turret keep shooting them in the back. And meanwhile, you can just spam left clicks from range. If you're spamming in narrow chokes, you can sometimes get like easy headshots and free picks, but otherwise you actually do quite a reasonable amount of shield break, and you can use your own overdrive to like live and escape because it makes you faster and tankier, or to like chase down kills, whatever. Tracer, you are going to play just like Doomfist, Reaper, etc. You live in the backline. Your recall is your aggro button. When you have recall, you can be in deeper. When you don't have recall, though, because recall is such a long cooldown, you can't just be out. You have to still be poking them and annoying the shit out of them and making them look around for you, wonder where the fuck the Tracer is. You just have to do it a lot safer. So hug corners and play further back than you would otherwise. You don't even have to be in her effective range. A one clip could do 20 damage to someone, and they will often turn around to deal with the damage. So, and then you get your recall back and you go again. Widowmaker. Everyone thinks Widowmaker is picks. Picks are great. Picks are always going to be better than any of this other shit I'm talking about. But the problem with picks is if you don't get the pick, you got nothing. With off-angle pressure, if you don't get the pick, you still get that pressure. So Widow, off-angle pressure. Even you doinking body shots is 120 damage per second. It's legit. You can just sit there doinking body shots on Widow, and you'll be putting out pressure and getting shit done. Get picks, and it's better. But yeah. Winston. If you replace the Reinhardt, this just becomes a dive comp. If you replace the D.Va, this becomes what SVB calls a Goomba Stomp comp. I actually kind of like the Monkey replacing the D.Va, especially in like middle ranks and lower ranks. You play Monkey like an off-tank, and you're looking to use your bubble to cut off heals and isolate people, same as like with an Orisa shield, or to split the team in half. So you want to like drop it in the middle of them, or like the absolute best bubble you could ever do, more or less, is enemy Ana, your bubble, enemy team. So she has to walk through the entire bubble to heal them, or try to break it all by herself because she doesn't have other teammates with her to help her. So like bubbles like that are huge. Won't always be an option, but like that's sort of what you're looking for. But because bubble breaks so easily, the timing needs to be really good. You usually want to drop on them and use your leap to get out rather than leap to engage. But if your entire team is going in and going aggro, then you can do that sometimes. And like, yeah, use your bubble to cut off heals. Wrecking Ball, you are going to play like Tracer or Reaper or whatever. You exist in the backline and you are trying to split attention and cause chaos. You don't want to usually roll through the entire enemy team. You're looking for people who are at the edges of their formation, at the edges of the fight. So they got, all these people here, whatever, and then they got one person that's just like right here. Like they're still with their team. But if you roll through from behind them like this, these guys don't see you, they don't really shoot you, they can't, like, you're not going straight through them. And you bump this guy out to here, well, now he's out of position and killable by your team. So you are looking to boop one person out as often as you can, and that messes them up. You are cycling around your 6-second hook cooldown, and you want to avoid using your slam until you're ready to commit onto somebody because it takes so much time. And it kills your speed and momentum, which lets you get out. So you hook, you roll through, you bump him, and you just keep fucking rolling. You're gone. And then maybe you do it again. And then you do it again. And then you see that, like, Kree's used flash, whatever. Like, you feel like you can now actually get through this entire team. So now you roll through all of them, or a bunch of them, hitting your shields as you go, still coming from behind them, so it's harder for them to deal with you, and still rolling through and getting the fuck out. And now that you're tanky as hell because you have all that extra health from all those extra shields, they'll last 10 seconds. Your hook is back in 6, so 6 seconds in, that's when you come in, go for the fat slam, and maybe try to get a pick, and then get out. And that's kind of the general idea. You want to be just constantly harassing the backline and booping people out. Zarya, I mean, you play like Zarya. You stand with your Rein. You try to make short angles by wrapping around whoever he's swinging on. So you can be like shooting him in the side from right by. Use your bubbles to save people, and or to let like Rein keep swinging, get through the choke, to let you keep pushing. This is a pet peeve about Zarya bubble. Using it super early for charge is fine, but once you're high charge, or once the enemy team is so close to you that the fight could start before you get your bubble back, it is too late to do it just for energy. You have to do it for a good reason as well, and you'll get the energy from that. So one way that I like to use Zarya's personal bubble is, I guess this is mostly like, it's a thought process change, because people say, if you have your personal bubble, you can go aggro and then use your bubble to get out. I say you should be able to get in and out without your bubble. Like, your initial plan should allow you to do this. You shouldn't plan to need your bubble to leave. And then, once you're in, you can decide, oh, this fight is actually winnable if we keep pushing. And then you self-bubble and keep pushing with your self-bubble, so it allows you to keep walking into them and frying them rather than having to leave. Really good way to think about your personal bubble. And then finally, Zen, non-stop spam and off-angle pressure. Oh my gosh, more bits! Thank you so much, Retro. This is 300 bits total so far. Alright, take care, dude. A problem I see with a lot of Zens is charging your right clicks too much. Your right clicks are really good pick potential. That's true. But they do about half as much damage per second as just holding down your left click does. If the enemy has, say, a Widowmaker, or maybe a good Hanzo, like if they have somebody that you're afraid can one-shot you, then you should charge right clicks and peek from different places and release them until whoever has that one-shot is dead. If they don't have somebody that can one-shot you, then as you're approaching a corner, before you can see any enemies, you're charging the right click. As you get around, you let it go. Maybe you get a pick, maybe you don't. And then you are just non-stop damage and pressure. Shield break, chunk down tanks, primarily. If you're close enough and your aim is good enough to get a squishy, then by all means kill a fucking squishy. But the reliable, consistent damage is shields and tanks, and you do meaningful damage to those as Zen. Uh, Especially with your Discord Orb. Uh, there's a lot of people, like, get the Discord Orb on tanks, get your Discord Orb on whoever your Rein is swinging on, or whoever your team is currently shooting. I don't give a fuck who they are. Whoever is currently taking damage, and don't be afraid to swap it around a bunch between people rather than just leave it on one person. Your team's target priority changes, your orb should change, even if nobody made the call. And then your healing orb is on whoever is actively taking damage, but preferably, if possible, on a squishy like Tracer so she can stay in longer. Or even Reaper or Doomfist. Like the people that have to get in close and cycle, your orb is meaningful to them and can actually help keep them in longer. You can put it on Rein while he's swinging, but it's only 30 a second. It's not making a huge difference for your Reinhardt. So, like, that's only worth if you don't have somebody better to put it on. Uh, yeah. Hopefully that's helpful. That's kind of how the meta is playing right now, more or less. Uh, there's also Double Bubble, but Double Bubble is just a whole different can of worms and is actually way more complicated than this. Uh, One of the things I love about Rein Diva Rush is, while obviously it's best if the entire team knows how to play it, a single player knowing what their particular job is can carry this in lobbies where nobody else knows what their job is. If one person out of the 12 in the lobby knows that they need to off angle, that team's probably going to win if they know how to off angle well. And coordinating with your team can go one direction with this. You watch your Reinhardt. When your Reinhardt walks in and starts swinging, you engage. Try to engage at the same time his swings are landing. If you are the Reinhardt, then you can be in comms being like, hey, I'm walking in, hey, I'm walking in. But you can also just wait for somebody else to start doing backline things. You can even be like, hey, Reaper, can you TP on their backline while I walk in? They'll probably do it. It is, admittedly, a lot harder for Rein than for anyone else in this. You got it rough, dude. You can play in non-ideal ways that will still often be better in ranked. So what I mean by that is if you have a diva that's sitting on top of you, or your off tank is sitting on top of you, or you have another main tank or whatever, off angle to them. Obviously, usually you want people positioning relative to your main tank, but if it's not happening, then just position relative to them best you can. Probably won't be the spot that you personally want to hold, but you could still probably find somewhere that's decent to do something about it. Because all of you being grouped up and letting the other team get angles on you and surround you will mean you will lose on paper. Like, all other things being equal, you lose that. The only way you win that is by massively outplaying them or them fucking up horribly. Yeah. Oh, right. So, in conclusion, like, if everyone is grouped up, Reinhardt, maybe you split from them. Far from ideal, but it's still going to be better. Usually. Or ask your off tank to just be Zarya and play with you. Everyone understands Rein Zarya more or less. It's really like the map control aspects and D.Va in particular that's like thrown Zarya under the bus right now. But in elos where nobody's doing map control stuff, she can still be stronger than D.Va. That said, after all of this, a D.Va that does understand this in any elo is going to very easily hard carry games. I'm rocking, I think, a 70% win rate on Diva right now, just standing on high ground, shooting people in the back, and then looking around and boostering to whoever needs help. I'm working on like things like eating ultimates, which are huge carry plays, but I'm not that great at it yet. Uh, and like there's other aspects of her kit that make her really strong that I'm still working on. Just the off angling. If one person in the lobby is doing it, you win.